Ladies and gentlemen, it is Dan the Great, here to present to you the evolution of Gonzo! And then maybe there's just a bunch of explosions.
Whoa.
I've spent most of my life wondering what is a Gonzo. And sure, you have Kermit, he's a frog. Fozzie Bear's a pig. No, that's not. That was my ADD in pure form there, folks. I was thinking about what I was gonna say next. I was already on to Miss Piggy. In movies, you see Kermit shipped as a frog, you see Fozzie shipped labeled as a bear, and you see Gonzo shipped labeled as a whatever. There's just been this large looming mystery about what a Gonzo is. And I think by looking into his evolution, we might be able to figure it out. Gonzo's first introduction to the Muppet universe was as the cigar box Fraggle in the 1970 Muppet special, The Great Santa Claus Switch. This special is wild. It's essentially Nightmare Before Christmas, just done by the Muppets a couple decades earlier. There's this scheming guy, Cosmo Sam, who has a smoking problem, and he doesn't like Santa Claus, and he wants to take over the business, and he has a whole army of weird, like beaked, feathery creatures known as the Frackles. There's a specific scene in the special, though, where Cosmo Sam is particularly stressed, and he needs a cigar. And he's like, where's my cigar box? And he opens up the box, and out pops this blue little guy.
Give me a cigar, will you?
Here it is, boys.
He just lived his life in a cigar box. And like with some Mary Poppins magic, I mean, that's a shallow box, and that's a large monster. How did he get in there? As we rolled into the Muppet Show, Jim Henson was just handing out puppets to his horde of puppeteers. And in that cast was a newcomer named Dave Goelz. And so from the pile of Muppets that weren't being used, hands over to Dave this character that would be lovingly deemed Gonzo. And for the most part, in the first season of the Muppet Show, he's just a background character. He's just one of the gang. He's doing wacky stuff, but he's not really a lead player.
Here, let me take this opportunity to present the Muppet Show's resident artist, Gonzo the Great!
Thank you.
He's a frumpy looking dude. He's beat up looking. He's this timid, insecure newcomer, and that really represented Dave's journey as a puppeteer throughout his entire career.
Yokos! What do they know about art?
By the time Muppet Season 2 rolled out, Gonzo was a superstar. 1977 saw Gonzo's true rise to fame. He wasn't just a background player anymore. Now he was a front-facing lead Muppet, and everyone loved him and his silly antics. And with that new love of Gonzo, we had to rebuild the Muppet entirely to give him all kinds of new skills and abilities. Most notably, the biggest change from Gonzo Season 1 to Gonzo Season 2 was his eyelids. Now he had fully functional eyes that allowed him to emote a great deal more than he ever was before. So now Gonzo can be weird, mischievous, and that doesn't have to be permanently locked into a sad, timid archetype. Now he can be excited, he can have fun, he can really explore his true weirdness. It's Season 2 of The Muppet Show where things really got off the rails for Gonzo. Right off the bat is... in Season 2 is where he discovered his love of chickens. In episode 204, there's this iconic scene where Gonzo's auditioning chickens, and there's this moment where he's like,
Okay, don't call us, we'll call you. Nice legs, though.
and that was just a tasteful, well, perhaps a not untasteful ad-lib by Dave Goelz, but it really set the tone of Gonzo's love of chickens, and it just grew from there. He's had many chicken companions, from Camilla to Louise. There have been many chickens. I would like the record to show that my producer Kenny's argument for Gonzo's love of chickens is that they just have there's a high turnover rate of chicken lifespans. So there's just always a new it's like James Bond a little bit. When one dies, a new one takes its mantle. You know what I mean? The nose could also be described as perhaps a beak, and he has feathers. He's feathery. And so it only would make sense, perhaps, that this weird, undescribed creature might take an interest in poultry. The Muppet movie, as we've said time and time again with Kermit's evolution and Miss Piggy's evolution, is where we really saw the solidification of a lot of the Muppets' personalities, looks, and designs, and Gonzo is no different. This is an interesting time to mention Gonzo's nose in particular, because Gonzo's nose is different than most other Muppet builds. Most Muppets are covered with fur, they're monsters, or other puppets are covered with a fleece, like Kermit. But Gonzo is unique in that he has a matted fur build, but with an exposed foam nose. The foam that you see that's making up his nose and mouth is the foam that's used to construct most of the puppets. But in this case, we left it exposed, and they lightly color it. Sometimes it's a light misting of blue, sometimes they go really deep and make it a strong, deep purple or blue, but regardless, it's always an exposed foam, which gives Gonzo a truly unique texture that makes him stand out from the other Muppets. I would be remiss if I didn't dive for just a moment into Gonzo's antics. He's a daredevil, man. He's the Steve-O of the Muppets. There's not a thing that you can't dare Gonzo to do that he won't look you in the eye and will say, double that down. I'll do it on top of flaming tire, bro. Anything you could do, I can do better and crazier. Gonzo's that guy, and his wardrobe reflects that in spades. Man, Gonzo goes from Argyle sweater vests to chili pepper vests to velvet tuxedos to who's that guy that jumped over canyons and stuff? Evel Knievel. He even goes full Evel Knievel sometimes with his outfits. And that's really what enamors a lot of us to Gonzo, is the fact that he is this indestructible, immortal, blue thing that just is so true to himself and true to what he wants to do. He really just follows his voice and his heart. That makes him a very versatile character for the Muppet writers, because we have dressed Gonzo up and stuck him into the strangest of places. Now's a good time for me to remind you that the Magic Candle Company has really great theme park scented candles. And when you buy them and use Disney Dan 15 for 15% off your order, it helps the channel. You guys are awesome. You buy so many candles and it really, really helps support us here. Thank you so much. Muppet Christmas Carol was a big moment for the Muppets in general, right? This was the first movie that Jim wasn't a part of, right? We had a new Kermit. What are the Muppets gonna do? Where are the Muppets gonna go? And truly, an interesting response to that was to give Gonzo the leading role. It was very unexpected to give Gonzo this front-facing narrator space, this Charles Dickens-esque, omniscient person who broke the fourth wall quite regularly in true Gonzo fashion.
And, Tiny Tim?
Tiny Tim, who did not die.
Oh, isn't that swell?
It really cemented my true love of Gonzo, permanently, is this movie. This movie is amazing. What's interesting is that the performer Dave Goelz says, and is on record saying, that this Gonzo is his favorite version of Gonzo that he's ever performed. And it's interesting to reflect on Dave Goelz, the performer's journey with Gonzo, since he started off as the Muppets, putting Gonzo on for the first time as a bit of an outsider. Here in Christmas Carol, we're seeing Gonzo really evolve with the heart of Dave Goelz. Dave Goelz had just gotten married. He was becoming a father. He was becoming gentler, more rounded, warm human. And Jerry Joel really punched a lot of that into the character of Gonzo when he was writing the script. Gonzo is just amazing. And I already have a personal connection with Christmas Carol because I've performed it time and time again as Ghost of Christmas Present. And Muppets Christmas Carol is truly one of the best adaptions of Christmas Carol, period. You can put me on record saying that. I love Muppets Christmas Carol. It's fantastic. And part of the reason is because of Gonzo. He has iconic moments in there. When the doors fly open when the first ghost comes.
What are we doing?
Nothing.
What?
Well, just hold on.
What?
This Gonzo is peak Gonzo. It's really the pinnacle of the Gonzo look. You can see the coloring of his nose is where we really land and stick for the rest of time. This blue tinted nose with the bright red lips and mouth. That contrast, that color palette is what Gonzo has to this day. They even tweak his eyelids a little bit. You can see, if you look really closely, his eyelids overlap each other in a kind of McDonald's golden arches kind of way. Instead of being their two independent eyelids, everything's kind of been tightened up and refined and focused with this Gonzo, and it becomes the iconic Gonzo, even more so than the '78 Muppet movie Gonzo. It's in the timeline of Gonzo that we now approach his movie, his Muppet movie. Muppets from Space. Now, there's a lot of controversy with Muppets from Space. We're finding out Gonzo's origin story, and maybe that wasn't necessary, because it really pinholes Gonzo's weirdness and demystifies him in a way that doesn't serve his character any justice. All right, the movie's like, sure, he's an alien, I guess. But you know, his original origins were to just be an outsider, to be unique, to be truly unique. And you know, Dave Goelz has been on record saying that the Muppets from Space isn't Gonzo canon. It's not his choice. It wasn't something he necessarily believes in. And you know, I can't help but I mean, it's a fun movie. Don't get me wrong, it's a fun Muppet movie. I don't dislike it, but I don't know if we needed it. I don't know if we needed Gonzo to be an alien. So in my quest to find out what a Gonzo is, I can't really trust Muppets from Space because Gonzo's dad says it's not true, you know? And if you can't take Gonzo's dad at face value, who can you trust? This is, you know what we did? We George Lucas'd Gonzo is what we did. George passed on the rights to his beloved space adjacent franchise, and then corporate America just ruined it. You know what I mean? We just smashed it down. We're just like, what's that? Gonzo's from space, and we're gonna ruin your childhoods. Just steamrolling over everything. Let me now dive into one of my favorite Gonzos of all time. 2005's Muppets Wizard of Oz. Sure, this movie isn't a big favorite of Muppet fans, but I love it. The looks, the designs, the character choices for the Muppets specifically were fantastic. Cowardly Lion Fozzie, Scarecrow Kermit, Tin Man Gonzo, aka Tinzo. Look at this. This is one of the most stunning designs I've ever seen. Man, they really nailed it with this Gonzo. His nose is a cell phone, very important note. Tinzo, Tin Thing, to bring it full circle, he's got nipples.
What do these do?
Nothing. They're my nipples.
Gonzo has little nipple dials. Gonzo and Batista, they've got sensitive silvery nipples.
Oh, my nipples!
But that leads us into the modern Gonzo. Modern Gonzo from 2009 on, when Disney sort of started up the campaign to ramp up the new Muppet movies they were making with Jason Segel and such, they kind of gave all the Muppets a little facelift and tweak, and you know, the nose is a bit thicker, his features are a bit bolder, his pupils get a little bit, everything's a little bit more defined. That goes across the board with a lot of the Muppets. We saw it in Piggy, we saw it even in Kermit, how they were playing around with the eye focus and the design and the minor shapes. And here, you know, Gonzo's rounded out. The new Muppet design played a little bit with the color. They lightly dusted his nose a little bit differently, playing with the light and how the color shows through. His eyelids go back to his original color palette. It's just a simpler, more refined vintage Gonzo. And interestingly enough, in 2008, introduced a specific mech that allowed Gonzo to fully Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. He can move one eyelid, right? Doesn't The Rock do that, Kenny? Kenny knows wrestling, Kenny. The people's eyebrow. That is, so Gonzo, I forgot about the people's eyebrow. Gonzo's got the Gonzo eyebrow. I know I skipped over it because we just glazed right past Muppets Take Manhattan, but here is the Baby Gonzo segment of this video. Buckle in. Muppet Babies are wild to me because they started as these live action characters that got translated into a cartoon, and then later that cartoon got rebooted into a computer animated CGI cartoon that then later got translated into physical puppets again. These Muppet Babies have gone through some stuff, man. They have really transformed and really seen a lot. The original Gonzo is adorable and leans into his chicken love, of course, his bird love. He's in those red overalls with the bird on it. He's just so gosh darn cute.
Conduct this neurosurgery on your brain.
Listen to me. If Gonzo wearing a dress causes you to lose any sleep, well, honestly, I have no advice for you because that's the most absurd thing I've ever heard. Why were people upset with Gonzo wearing a dress? Everyone just needs to sit down for a minute and just take a breath. Maybe we'll make some soup or something. Everyone just calm down. You know, look around each other and be like, hey, how is everybody? I know we're not talking about Gonzo in a dress for a minute. We're just taking a time out on that. How are you? Are you doing okay? Because I'm worried about you. Because we've been fighting about Gonzo wearing a dress in a cartoon. Come on, folks. Gonzo truly is an amazing character to throw in a dress and have that journey, because Gonzo's always been true to himself. He's always listened to who he was, and it doesn't matter if he was not like anyone else, if he felt different and he did different things. He was him. He was Gonzo. He was unapologetically Gonzo. That's the right kind of message that we need to send to kids these days who are looking around in a very confusing society and just want to and they just want to be them, and they're constantly being bombarded with "don't be you." And here's a character who's just like, yeah, guys, I wanted to put on a dress because dresses are fun. What's the problem? Gonzo's amazing. And Tom Warburton amazingly has a quote about this controversy. Gonzo is always 200% Gonzo 340% of the time. And you know what? If you want to be you, be you. That's amazing. I love that message. Gonzo's a hero, all right?
I don't want you to be upset with me, but I don't want to do things just because that's the way they've always been done either. I want to be me.
Of course, it wouldn't be a Disney Dan video if we weren't some walk-around costume characters, so let's get into that. 1984's Muppets on Tour live show. We get, all those articulated, moving head Muppets that really just reframed the entire game of costume walk-around characters. And that, of course, rolled into the 1986 Muppet Babies live tour, where we get Baby Gonzo, who is even more adorable as a live walk-around character. I just want to squish him. That's one of he's so gosh darn cute. And then we see the Muppets start to appear in Disney World. Here come the Muppets. Gonzo's there, man, in his paisley sweater vest and shirt and bow tie, and he's Gonzoing it up. He's Gonzo. It really stays very true to the design of these Muppets when they blow them up into walk-around characters. I mean, other than Kermit's long, aggressive fingers that make me uncomfortable, the Gonzo character truly translates beautifully because he doesn't have any weird proportions, because he is weird, so you can throw him into a human bodysuit and you're just like, yeah, that works. It's really important for me to mention, maybe truly is only Dave Goelz who can tell us what Gonzo is, because Dave Goelz is Gonzo in a way. Dave Goelz is the last puppeteer from the Muppets group, and that says something for that character. The Muppets have essentially become a cover band in a big bad way. They're not the original guys, they're doing an imitation of some legendary performances, and then doing new original stuff with that. But that doesn't apply with Gonzo. Gonzo is still Gonzo. And so whatever Gonzo is, I'm gonna listen to Dave. And if Dave says that Gonzo's a whatnot, or a whatever, or a something, then that's what he is. He's a something, he's a weird something, and we can't necessarily put a pin on what Gonzo is, because Gonzo's unique, and that's what makes Gonzo, Gonzo.
All 999, but there's always room for one more.
Whoa, just came off of watching that new Muppets Haunted Mansion special, and spoilers, there's an old creepy Gonzo puppet in it. Whoa, what an old creepy Gonzo. I was not prepared. I was not prepared at all for old Gonzo. Old, bald, wrinkled-nosed, bony finger Gonzo. I didn't even know Gonzos had bones. Man, I loved it though. What a fun special. Gonzo's the new Kermit, guys. Everyone has a Gonzo moment they love. Everybody. Maybe it's that scene in Muppets Treasure Island where his arms and legs get stretched out really, really far. Maybe it's a moment in Christmas Carol, or a stunt from the original Muppet Show. There's just endless moments of heartwarming absurdity that is Gonzo, and I'm sure you all have a favorite Gonzo moment. Let me know in the comments what your favorite Gonzo stunt has been, or appearance, or Gonzo movie, or costume. I want to know. I want to know if you saw Gonzo live at Disney World. So hit me up in the comments below, or also on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Jump on over to Patreon, check out some behind the scenes stuff. The behind the scenes of both the Kermit episode and the Miss Piggy episode, where I dive into some of my Muppet collectibles. It's all there. Really appreciate you guys watching. Really appreciate all those likes, every comment, every time you click that subscribe button. It just means the world to me. Helps these videos, help more people see the silliness that is me. So thanks everyone for watching. And as always, you rock.